YouTube land, and welcome to the Get In and Get Out Nintendo podcast, episode 78. And we're back. I am your host, Dantes, and of course, joining me like always, hey, what is up, Evans? And joining me like always, Caleones. How you doing, Caleones?
Hey, how you doing, Dantes? How you doing, everybody? And yeah, I mean, last week we were supposed to have the Getting and Get on Nintendo podcast, but instead we had the Force In Unison streams where we played a little bit more of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. But the real reason why we didn't have it is because there wasn't barely any news for last week, so there wasn't really anything for us to talk about for an entire hour. But Dantes, we've had a couple of news this week that we really want to talk about. There's a lot of to talk. So whatever we didn't have 2 weeks ago, we're finally having it now. So go ahead and take it away.
So let's start the show because the news that we have, I think there's going to be a lot of discussion points. So I want to welcome, and Evans, bon appetit. I want to welcome everybody to the Get In and Get Out Nintendo podcast, episode 78, right here at the Force In Unison gaming channel. Please remember to subscribe, like, comment, and hit that bell so you can make these two crazy MS happy. Also, remember, you can get this podcast on SoundCloud and iTunes for free. Right us over there so you can search for love. Also, go to the description box below so you can see the full channel schedule. We are kind of, I guess, doing it a little bit okay. Caleones needs to hit Nintendo Wednesday a little bit more, but anyway, aside from that, everything else has been coming through. But we'll do better. We'll try, and we may reboot later. We shall see. Also, Facebook page at Force In Unison Gaming, and finally, and that says finally, go to forceinunison.wordpress.com and give some clicks and love to my boy Caleones. With all that said, are you ready? I said. Are you ready for the no one attendance and the people watching around the world? Let's get ready for Reggie's hot topic of the week.
My body is ready.
My body is ready, Caleones, and Reggie's body is gonna be really ready for the first one. Caleones, take it away with the first piece of news.
Well, Dantes, the first one is the big one. We didn't get. Well, we still haven't gotten our Nintendo Direct for the month of January, like all the experts, the insiders, and everybody was, we're saying that we were gonna get. But we actually got a video from Nintendo talking about a game that everybody is looking forward to. We are talking about Metroid Prime 4, but it wasn't really good news, Dantes. It was actually bad news of the not necessarily canceling type, but let's go ahead and scrap everything and start from the very beginning type. So the news is that Nintendo is scratching all development on Metroid Prime 4. They are basically disregarding everything that they were working on. They will be starting from the very beginning. What that tells you is that if they're starting from the very beginning on 2019, we're probably not going to see the game until maybe like 2021, 2022, who knows when. But there was a little bit of silver lining to the news, and that is that Retro Studios will be working on Metroid Prime 4. They will be in charge of development, and supposedly there was some news that they said that the Retro Studios actually they put something together for Nintendo to try to win the development of Prime 4. They were very impressed by it, and they gave it to them. So instead of having maybe, like the rumor suggests, Bandai Namco, and that's something we're going to be talking about later on, working on Metroid Prime 4. Now it's finally coming in-house to the original home of the Metroid Prime series, Retro Studios. But Dantes, I know that they never necessarily gave a release date on the game, but it was actually announced during E3 in 2017. That was almost 2 years ago. We haven't seen anything except for the logo that they showed on the video. You said back then that you didn't really like the idea of having like a PowerPoint presentation of a game announcement instead of something.
A JPEG. I basically call it
a
a JPEG.
But anyway, keep going. But yes, Dantes, I I want to get your comments, see where you're coming from on this. Try to see try to figure out for our viewers if this is something good, if it's bad, what's going on. So, what do you think, Dantes?
So when I heard this news that morning, my mind was split in different ways. Right. The first one was okay. It was a delay, which is fine. If it wasn't working out, the right thing to do. Nintendo has a reputation to uphold. This is normal. The delays happens even for the top development publishers like Nintendo, like Sony. Santa Monica before God of War, they had a complete cancel game that they were pretty far in advance, and they had to cancel it. And there was rumors that Santa Monica was in deep shit before God of War came into life and basically saved that studio in a sense, right? So bad development cycles can occur. The other piece was, and it was one of the news that I attached, but I'm gonna mix it here, was that, like you said, Retro showed the presentation, show like a small demo and won Nintendo over. But at the same time, Nintendo was trying something different with this development, in which using multiple smaller teams to try to make it work. But historically, this has been proven. You can ask Square Enix that when you do something like this, it creates a lot of development hell, and games suffer a lot. So that was my first thought. My second thought was, at that point, I'm gonna go other ways, but at that point, my second thought was that it's better to delay. Never bring a game that is like that bad. We've seen how Microsoft have put out games like Sea of Thieves, State of Decay, games that are not being polished. They come out, you become a laughing stock, you become a joke. Nintendo and Sony has a big reputation of first-party deliveries, pretty good first-party deliveries. But you have to remember, Sony at the start of the generation pull out Knack and pull out The Order 1886, and now The Order 1886. I'm not saying it's a bad game. I like the game and I plotted the game, but it is not a masterpiece. It's just a technical showcase, right? But it's not a masterpiece. My point of that is that Sony had to come down from the depths and prove again why they're one of the top developers or publishers in this case in the industry, where Nintendo as uphold. Nintendo also throws dots like want to switch with bad Metacritic scores. But at the same time, you could say that that game is just a tech demo for the system. But at the same time, Nintendo has thrown high-rated games this generation. So it's all about reputation. It's all about how you uphold this, right? So I understand. I agree with it. Then after I started reading Twitter and everybody was like, oh my God, thank God, the retro is picking it up. We understand Nintendo. It's all good. I was kind of in a mind of two things, and I'm going to try a little bit of shades here to my Nintendo friends and fans here, is the amount of shit sometimes that they give Nintendo fans specifically to other publishers like Microsoft and Sony for delaying games, for showing games too early, and then having canceled and stuff like that. And you guys always, oh my God, look at us. Even though I always brought up, Breath of the Wild took a long ass time to make, and it was announced way too early. This game was announced with a freaking JPEG. So the hypocrisy on the Nintendo fan base was hardcore during this occasion, saying, oh, it's okay. Instead of saying, Nintendo, you fucked up, you messed up, you showed a JPEG. Nintendo should not have shown a JPEG at any time. What that meant was that at that conference, Nintendo had nothing more to show, even though it was an okay conference, and I think that we won E3. We gave it to them that year, but they didn't need to show a JPEG. So every company does this, that they have a dud, that they fucked up. So you Nintendo fans are not the exception, and hopefully you guys will learn this lesson. And when other companies do the same mistake, even though I think they're doing better, you're always gonna get an agent. And if you guys remember that was a Rockstar announced PlayStation 3 exclusive that was announced with a JPEG by Sony too, and it never came to fruition. So I'm hoping the companies learn that unless you have the game is around 2 years of development, that it looks strong, okay, bring Spider-Man to announce it 2 years before you release it. I'm fine with that. Bring God of War and 2 years before you release it, Sony. I'm fine with that. But don't do the Last Guardian case where you announce it, but that game was still early in development, just to say, look at all the exclusives that we have, and then it took 10 years to recover that game. And props for Sony, they didn't give up on the game, and it still came out. But I'm hoping the Nintendo fans learn from this. I'm not trying to kill you guys right now on it, but I'm trying to say I don't want to hear ever again, oh my God, they announced games too early, and look at this shit, and look at what happens. Because it does take away now from that E3, Caleones, where you really need to go back and review that E3. It's the same way, like Sony won, in my opinion, the E3 when they showed Spider-Man, God of War, Days Gone, and all those games, because they're coming, and they're being stellar games, they're being high Metacritic scores, they have won awards, God of War winning game of the year. But the year before, I stated that a lot of people gave Sony the win for showing Shenmue 3 and Final Fantasy VII Remake, but those games, where's Final Fantasy VII Remake? So it does take away from that year's E3. So if you go back to I think that was 2015, that E3, does really Sony wins that E3, right? When you look at it down the road. That's the same that I would be interested to go back to that show and see, does really Nintendo wins? Because a lot of people were pumped. A lot of people were like, oh my God, Metroid Prime 4 is coming. Oh my God. It's a JPEG. And I said it from the first day, and I have not changed my stand. That was a stupid move. And I gave Caleones shit because I used to like to give shit to Sony for taking too long. I said, Caleones, you were saying this game is going to come out in 2 years. And I kept saying, Caleones, it's impossible. They show a freaking JPEG. There's no way in hell that this game, I was even saying that it's not coming out this year, right? Because again, it was a JPEG. And I hate to be right, but I also hate to be wrong. But anyway, but in this case, I was right. And that's a mistake. And hopefully Nintendo will learn from it. And I don't want any company, Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, showing me a JPEG on a presentation, because I will burn them to the ground. You have to be more, in this day and age, you have to show a game where you're sure it's in a good state, that you're sure you're going to deliver. Now, that was that mindset that I was there. Second was everybody celebrating retro. I understand the excitement. Hopefully retro is still retro, but I have lost complete confidence on retro. And that is nothing against that they have thrown bad games, because most of their games have win 90 Metacritic scores. But you have to understand that the last Metroid Prime was on the Wii generation. The development of games have completely changed, Caleones. And something, Metroid Prime, that it was still a small game. If you ever play the Metroid Prime series, I'm not saying it's a short game, but it was a hub type of game where worlds were small. So the question is that can translate now to this generation, or are we expecting retro to deliver a AAA game? Huge AAA game, because that's what I would say that I expect from retro. Because people put retro there with Naughty Dog and Rockstar, and I always would ask myself, where's this proof that retro is anywhere near Naughty Dog and Rockstar? I'm not gonna shit on Donkey Kong Country, but don't tell me that Donkey Kong Country looks better than anything Naughty Dog or Rockstars have put in the last couple of years. And this is talking about in the last time that retro put something out, Naughty Dog has put out Uncharted 4, The Last of Us, goddamn, the Uncharted 4, Lost Legacy, and they're about to deliver on The Last of Us 2, Caleones. With that high quality of development cycle, it's just, again, it boggles my mind how Nintendo fans always put retro there. Retro has not delivered anything in a long-ass time. Where's their game? There's no way in hell that a lot of people, but they have 2 games. Where's their game? I haven't seen anything in the last year that tells me that they're anywhere close to delivering what game? What? So they've had some issues. They have a rough development cycle. And to clarify, I'm giving shit to retro, but Santa Monica was in the same boat many years ago where everybody talked high of Santa Monica, and I was like, God of War Ascension, even though it was a good game, wasn't a great game, and they haven't delivered something in a lot of years. Now God of War came, and God of War now made Santa Monica back into the top sphere. So I'm not saying retro cannot do that and surprise me. I'm just saying I don't understand the confidence that everybody has on retro right now when they have not delivered anything worthwhile in a long-ass time. Says, in my opinion, because I'm not a Donkey Kong fan, don't take offense on it, Metroid Prime 3. Just saying. That's my second thought process. And then my last thought process of all this that came out was, what is the relationship of Bandai Namco is going to be going forward with Nintendo? because you're saying Nintendo basically saying, and a lot of people already had put Bandai Namco. So there's a reputation from Bandai Namco itself. Well, a lot of people attach Bandai Namco to Metroid Prime 4. And to clarify, Bandai Namco always had a relationship with Nintendo. They helped on the previous Smash. You see what I'm saying? So they have always provided development support for Nintendo. So what type of relationship Bandai Namco is going to have with Nintendo going forward? It's going to be interesting, Caleones. So I'm going to wait and see how that pans out. You can take then the news that you just saw, but I'm going to let you speak for that news. I'm just saying that this is all my thought process that came to fruition. I'm hoping I'm wrong, that Retro delivers a game on the Metroid Prime vein. Second, I'm hoping that Nintendo works fast and makes a Metroid Prime trilogy out HD on the Switch as soon as possible. 3, I am hoping Nintendo learns from this lesson and they don't show ever a JPEG ever again. And finally, and number 4 is I'm hoping the relationship with Bandai Namco, is not damaged with Nintendo, because Bandai Namco delivers a lot of Japanese games and Nintendo Switch has been shown to be a Japanese RPGs machine. That's my overall thoughts. I know I rambled a long time, Caleones. I'm gonna let you talk and see how you're feeling as about everything. How you took it, Caleones.
Well, I'm gonna ask you first because Evans said something over here, saying that what if they never announce games and just release them? So what do you think about that?
So I think that's wrong too, because you have to build hype for a game. Give you an example. A game like Days Gone. Right now, like, you don't know that game. We don't know how good that game is gonna be. And even now, because maybe they show it too early, it's hurt the game where a lot of people like myself are skeptical about the game. Is the game gonna be good or not? But you have to create hype for the game so people want it. So give you an example, the perfect example of that. Last generation, Nintendo, and I did stated that Nintendo built a monster with Smash, how they revealed the characters and built every game and see how it looked. Built a monster, but created a hype that it was really damaging for even the other games because people just want Smash. Even though now Smash ended up being one of the biggest IPs of all time. So again, there's pros and cons. So you have to build hype. What I do agree though is that I don't think they need to announce games too early. At most, is 2 years before release. Then I'm okay with it. At most, my preference would be 1 year before release. Would be when you announce games. So go ahead, Carlos.
Yeah, I think the biggest reason or the biggest mistake by Nintendo, yes, like you said, showing a JPEG, just showing a picture of the logo, yeah, that wasn't the way to go, because if they're only showing a logo, it kind of tells you that they don't even know what the game's gonna be about. And it actually did turn out that they were just trying to come up with the game, how the game was gonna play, and they just ended up scrapping it. So, they in certain cases, how the game is starting out. So, for example, like Final Fantasy VII Remake, they did have the game decided upon how they were going to make it. Then they decided to just scrap it and rework it again. But in this case, they didn't even know. So it was like they were just starting now. They knew that they were going to make the game at some point, but they just had no idea how they were going to put it together. So I think that was yes, it was a mistake to do so. Yeah, they probably should have just said Metroid Prime Trilogy HD and announced that was coming and probably release it like sometime this year. So that probably should have been. But I mean, they may still do it. I mean, we may still see Metroid Prime Trilogy HD for the Switch, this year. Hopefully, so people can be tied up until Metroid Prime 4 finally releases. But the other problem that we have is it was like 5 years ago that Donkey Kong Country Triple Freeze released. We haven't seen anything from Retro. We've heard news about them working on a game, the game getting canceled, working on another one, and that being like the Star Fox Grand Prix type game. But if they're getting development if they're going to be beginning the development of Metro Prime 4 now, I'm going to ask you this. Do you think that, one, it is because they're basically done with the development of the game they were working on, or is it because Nintendo decided to cancel whatever they were working on and gave them Metro Prime 4? So where do you think this is coming from?
So I think hopefully they're still developing the game. And to clarify, based on development cycles, Caleones, sometimes developers start another game with a smaller team. So I could foresee the main team still finishing the main game that they're finishing on, whatever that is. Hopefully it's not that Star 4 Grand Prix thing. But they could be doing that while this team starts developing into kind of like what is the structure of the game is, what it's going to look like until the main team can come and join. So that's what I'm saying. This game, since they're starting from scratch, you're not seeing Metroid Prime until 2022, 2023, maybe. I'm going to say 2022 to be hopeful. I'm more inclined to say 2023 if you're really going to make a AAA game, Caleones. I'm not saying if you're going to make the same Metroid Prime games. Again, I'm not throwing shit on it. They're good games. I'm just saying, do gamers would take it the same type of game with today's standards? That is good. That is the question. I don't know. I'm just saying that is the question, right? You have to evolve somehow, and all the games that Nintendo has thrown this generation has been an evolution of previous incarnations. So I don't know. We shall see.
Yeah, I think that because of Breath of the Wild, because of what Nintendo did with that game, now you hear people saying, "Oh, Pokemon Generation 8 game, it has to be kind of like an open world type, like Breath of the Wild. Oh, the Metro Prime 4 game has to be big, like the Breath of the Wild." So I mean, of course, there's some unrealistic expectations about Metro Prime 4. I don't think that you should do the same thing that they did with the first three games. They do have to go bigger. And one of the things about Metro Prime 4 for me is that it is Nintendo's answer to Halo, or Nintendo's answer to Killzone before Killzone just imploded. But it is Nintendo's big sci-fi IP. It doesn't really sell as big as the other games, but the potential is there. I think nowadays with the HD graphics, uh, people are even more ready to embrace it, especially on a sci-fi setting. And that actually brings me to another point about retro. Retro has not worked on an HD game, so whatever game they're working on the Switch is the first time that retro is going to be working on an HD game. Also, the Metro Prime 3 game, I believe it released probably like 8 years ago, 9 years ago. So yeah, you can probably look it up there. But whatever members of Retro that were with the company back then, like you said, they're probably no longer there. So it is probably a complete different Retro Studios game, like within the people. So if the most of the Metro Prime people are probably not with the company anymore, so who knows how that's going to turn out with them. So do you have any other dates on there that you can tell us? Or is that the trilogy?
2009.
2009?
Yep.
So yeah, it's been almost 10 years since Metro Prime 3 came out, and yes, that's 10 years. That's a long time when it comes to video game companies. And I believe most of the people that worked on the Metro Prime series are no longer there. So how is that going to affect the Metro Prime games? So who knows? But yeah, but as far as people and what they're saying, they're expecting like a Breath of the Wild type Metroid game, so they're expecting it to be big. Not that it's going to be a third person game or anything like that. It's going to be a first person, but I think Nintendo needs to go big, especially on the Switch. And I believe a good game on the Switch, a good Metro Prime 4 game on the Switch, it's going to sell you anywhere from 3 to 5 million copies or even more. If 1-2 Switch already sold over 2 million copies, Metro Prime 4 can do more than that. So,
So it has to be,
yeah,
but again, it has to be an
yeah,
evolution to sell that because Metroid has never
yes,
sold numbers like that. It's been the
yes.
lowest,
So,
even though a lot
mhm.
of Nintendo fans think the Metroid Prime is in like in the echelon of Nintendo IPs. It is not. It is really not. It sells 1 million, 2 million. That's about it. So Zelda was covering in that area in the last couple of games, and it took Breath of the Wild to evolve it took Zelda back into what I would call the up echelon of Nintendo IPs. But it took Breath of the Wild 5 years to make it that way. 5 or 6, I don't even remember when they announced it. So it's the same is gonna happen with Metroid Prime. If you're gonna deliver to that type of expectation, a triple A game, then it's gonna take a lot of time. So you may be seeing this game at the end of the Switch life cycle, whenever that is, or a Switch 2 launch title. Could be like Breath of the Wild, where it is a Swamp Song for the Switch and the start of the Switch 2, like it did Breath of the Wild. That could be honestly a real possibility. You Nintendo fans need to understand that and embrace it and prepare for it. Not all these people like they were writing on Twitter in the comment section like, "Oh yeah, no, we'll get it 2020, we'll get it 2021." And to clarify, it's not that you guys are the only fanboys that are acting delusional. I mean, there's people keep saying that Death Stranding is coming this year. I'm like, well, yeah, right. We'll see if that's happening. I'm just saying that people need to understand that these type of games, these types of big games, take a long ass time to make. Development cycles are growing bigger and bigger, and the most you may get of a franchise in a console cycle is gonna be maybe one per generation, right? So I don't expect the next Breath of the Wild to, maybe if it falls, it's gonna be fall at the end of the life cycle, starting again the other life cycle. Because I don't think they can make another Breath of the Wild. Can they make a smaller Zelda? Yeah, they can. A top-down 2D Zelda type of game? Sure they can. Same with Mario. They can make a 2D Mario game to cover until the next 3D Mario game come out. I know Xenoblade. I'm surprised how much they pumped those games out in the last couple of years. But I'm just saying, like, development cycles are growing bigger. I don't expect the next God of War until PlayStation 5, honestly. I don't. Spider-Man 2, PlayStation 5. And that's okay. It is what it is. That's the generation that we live now. You're getting one. The times where you got Crash Bandicoot 1, Crash Bandicoot 2, Crash Bandicoot 3 in the same console generation, that's dead. It's over. It's done with. So expectations need to be tether better, Caleones. Tether better.
Well, so I guess that's pretty much does it when it comes to our Metroid Prime talk. I just want to like you said, just to like temper expectations. I don't think that the game is going to come out in 2021, 2022. Right now, it's probably going to be at the end cycle of the this Switch version. It might be like you said, like how Sony is more or less releasing some of the games, or how Nintendo is actually doing with the Zelda games, because they came out for the Wii U, and then it came out for the Switch at the same time. That as far as Breath of the Wild, Twilight Princess, released for the GameCube, but came out on the Wii as well. So we might be seeing the same thing, maybe the next Zelda like that, but probably this Metroid Prime game, Metroid Prime 4, is going to fall at the end of the cycle for the Switch, beginning of the cycle of the next Nintendo system, hopefully a Switch Pro or something like that, even though we might be getting a new, a new system version this year. But I don't know, like I feel on one side, disappointed, but at the same time excited. And that's because Retro has always done an amazing job when it comes to the Metro Prime games. Now is going to be their jump to HD, and I believe if they can somehow fully master the HD portion, because this is the first time that they're working on HD with whatever game they're working on Switch, and now Metro Prime 4, if they can master it, Metro Prime 4 is going to benefit greatly because of being in a set in a sci-fi setting. So hopefully they can deliver on that point, Dantes.
We shall see. I'm hopeful that they do. I have not much confidence, but maybe I change my mind once I start seeing a real trailer for the game. Well, thank you, Rip, and to your podcast. Thank you for joining us tonight. Have a good night. Caleones, let's move then to the next piece of news, because we got another piece of our topic where Nintendo basically dominated Christmas, and Santa Claus had to basically carry a lot of bags and bags of Nintendo Switch to the little children out there in the world. So Caleones, well, in the US at least. So Caleones, take it away.
Okay, so the next piece of news, actually the MPD numbers, talking about the sales for December in the US for the Nintendo Switch and the other consoles. So basically, the MPD stated that the Nintendo Switch had the best December of any console this generation, and the highest December hardware sales for a single platform since the Wii, and that was actually back in December of 2009. Dantes, I know that we've actually been talking about this before, talking about predictions for November, Black Friday, December, and all of that. are you surprised about Nintendo having these type of sales? Basically, one, winning the month of December, and actually selling more than the PS4 and Xbox One combined, but also being the highest selling hardware since the Wii in 2009.
So yes, I'm surprised. I'm not denying I was wrong. Let me explain why I was wrong. So like I was right before. Now I'm gonna say I'm wrong. uh, because Sony won November, right? So because Sony won November, and you had the Spider-Man bundle, there was nothing in my head that told me that Nintendo was gonna win in a dominant faction. That they could have won. Yeah, they could have won. Let's just say a couple 100,000 copies more, and and would have taken December, and that is fine. That was my expectation, right? But they double the Xbox and PlayStation combined, and because of how big the victory was in November, they took then the yearly wins, or the most consoles sold in the year. Even though Sony took many more months, at the end of the day, what matters is that the Nintendo took the more sales just because of this month. Just because of this month, which they destroyed the competition, and you have to say it was a bloodbath. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it, Caleones. It was a bloodbath, and I didn't expect that because Sony winning Black Friday, and you would expect Black Friday to be the your temperature of saying, oh, here's how the systems are gonna do for the rest of the year. But now I could say that I also did say the Smash, people were sleeping on it. I said in the podcast, you can tell Caleones, people were sleeping on it, that now Smash has become Nintendo biggest IP, that it was not Mario, that it was not Zelda, that it was not whatever Pokemon. I stated here that Smash have become bigger than any of those IPs. Now, what I did not foresee, even though I did, predict that, I did not predict that there were so many Nintendo fans basically said, I ain't buying the console until Smash comes out, because that's what you call a system seller. So I believe that the reason, the dominance that they won that month, was either A, people who bought the Smash console who waited until the release day of the Smash release, and B, people who just play Smash, which can happen, and just bought the console during that time in December once Smash came out. So that is what I call a true system seller. You can say Spider-Man was a system seller. It helped move consoles for PlayStation when it came out. Same with God of War. But Smash sold in the same level as a console seller as Halo did for the Xbox many, many, many moons ago, right? Where Xbox had exclusives that would move hardware, right? That's how big. And I didn't expect, because gamers are more balanced today more than the past. In the past, you would say, I'll buy the Super NES because of Mario World. Mario World just looks awesome. I'm gonna buy the Super NES, right? So there was games specifically that brought you to buy you a system, because you know that you didn't have that much money. You weren't gonna buy all the games possible, so you're gonna buy a couple, and the game that brought you in was the one that you bought the system for. To me, today's gamers not like that. They're more balanced. They play different things. I'm talking more hardcore gamers, not so much casuals. Casuals could buy a system for Wii Sports and then just don't play anything else. I'm just saying that the gamers are more balanced, and I still consider people who play Smash hardcore gamers. But then the question I pose is, Smash players becoming like Call of Duty players, where they just buy Call of Duty the whole year and then just play Call of Duty the whole freaking year until the next Call of Duty. The difference is you're not getting a Smash next year, so you better hope that DLC is fire. Let me put it that way. But anyway, what I'm saying at the end of the day is, good job, good job, Nintendo. You own it. Smash deserves the praise that it's getting. I wasn't a Smash fan at all until this game. Caleones, I have put 130 hours in Smash. That tells you how I feel about the game. That I finally got my first plat today for Moss in VR, because I haven't played anything other than Smash since the whole month of January, basically. And just to give you a heads up, buy Moss. Moss is a great game on VR, just in case. If you don't have it, I would recommend buy it. Awesome game. It's really innovative, the way how they handle gameplay in that game. But just giving you a heads up. But anyway, but Smash deserve it. It's an awesome game. The sales deserve. I can't deny when you have a game that is hype, but it's good at the same time because the question is backing up the hype, right, Caleones? Because you can hype a game and then the game doesn't turn out that well and gives you the sales that it give you. Hey, props for Nintendo. Now the question next year, do they have another Smash like that? Where I could foresee maybe Sony winning more months, and again at the end of the year, then Nintendo pulls it out at the end because they have a big system seller. That could be Pokemon. I'm not denying that. I'm not saying that Pokemon is not the system seller that it is. I'm just questioning. We'll see if Pokemon is still up there with a Smash type of title as a system seller, because Pokemon or Animal Crossing is more attracted to Nintendo fans. But Nintendo fans, in my opinion, already own the system for other games, other Nintendo games, where Smash has transcended into, I'm just going to buy the system for one game, Caleones. That's kind of what I'm saying. But I don't know. We shall see. What are your thoughts of the big win for Nintendo?
Well, I mean, of course, I'm going to say I wasn't surprised about them winning. What I'm actually surprised about is that, Nintendo Switch selling twice as many, like twice as many consoles as the PS4 and Xbox combined. So that's, that was a big surprise for me. But the reason why I wasn't surprised about Nintendo Switch winning the month of December is because consumers, they're not dumb. They know, about the holidays. They know about sales. They know when those things are going to happen, and they know that Nintendo, for the most part, they never really lower the price on the systems. Yes, they were offering a bundle of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with the Nintendo Switch for $300. So basically, you buy the system, you get the game for free. But as far as lowering the price of the system, Nintendo doesn't really do that. For the holiday season, yes, they'll do price drops eventually at some point. But as far as the Black Friday sales and things like that, they knew that yes, the PS4 was bundled with Spider-Man, but it was also down to $199. So that made a big difference. You can get a PS4 for $200 with Spider-Man 4 included for with the system. So that was a great incentive for people to grab the system. The Switch, you could, doesn't matter if you got it in November, it doesn't matter if you got it in December, it was pretty much going to be the same price. So like you said, for Smash fans, they were just waiting for the game to come out, so they would pick up the system. For everybody else that was buying the Nintendo Switch for a Christmas present, they were just waiting to get it at some point because they knew that the game wasn't going to really go down in price anyway. So it doesn't matter if they bought it in Black Friday or they bought it in sometime in December, it was going to be the same. So I knew that they were going to win, but the way that they won, that was the big surprising factor for me. And I guess, the biggest thing about this is that the Switch not only won December, but Switch was actually the top selling console in the US for 2018, Dantes. So how big is that? And also, what was that a surprise for you?
Well, I already said it. That was a surprise because Sony won the more months. That's pure and simple. So to me, Switch had to win by double like they did to catch up to Sony in the US. Sony had a pretty sizable lead. You can't deny the fact, but it doubled the sales. So the question is I'm not taking away from the victory from the Switch. Smash is Smash. I'm just saying you had to really pull it at the end. Is it really that huge of a victory against a 5-year-old console? That's kind of my point. You know what I'm saying? It's really Nintendo like, oh, it's going to start dominating the US, or when Sony drops PlayStation 5 or even Xbox, because in theory, US market is Xbox territory. We're back to the same boat where Nintendo is not winning anymore. I don't know that. I'm surprised. I'm not again, like I stated, I'm not taking away anything. Smash is an awesome game. It is one of the best games on that console, and the Switch has done a really good job in spreading out their big hitters this time, where you're getting more good games compared to the Wii U. I am not denying that at all. So the strategy for Nintendo has been working out with a strong indie support and with some third-party support, because I cannot say strong third-party support. I'm just saying with some third-party support or strategic third-party support has helped the Nintendo Switch sell. And it's an awesome console. I had to go in an emergency to fly to Puerto Rico. Took my Switch, play a lot of Smash on the plane and stuff like that, and then I got home and dug that sucker in, and I was playing Smash. Do I wish they fixed it online? Yes, I wish they fixed it online, but it is what it is. But at the end of the day, I'm not surprised, Caleones. And congratulations. Again, I'm not sad at all that Nintendo won against Sony because again, that should be the expectation. It's the newer hot ticket, right? That should be the case. But the question that I have is that going to be the same? If the Switch stands strong against PlayStation 5, then I'm going to be impressed. I'm not denying. I'm saying, okay, Nintendo, that's a juggernaut, is here to stay. But when you barely eked out a victory against a 5-year-old console, I do have to question if it's really a juggernaut here in the US. In Japan, I'm not denying. I'm telling you right now, it is a juggernaut in Japan. There's no one catching it in Japan. No way in hell. No one is even close. Juggernaut. Boom. Simple. They own the Japanese market. I'm just saying the US battleground, which is the biggest one, is that win really impressive? Or is the Smash impressive? That is a question that I'm posting to you. Is Smash impressive or is the Switch impressive? Anyway, that's my thoughts.
Yeah, so I think that we should still be surprised that even though this was like the fifth year of the PS4, because of the price drop, because of the pricing of the system, and it's the same thing that even when the PS5 comes out, if they lower the price of the Nintendo Switch down to like 250 or 199, we're probably going to expect people to go out and pick up the system, even if they already own one, maybe a couple for the household. So we probably would expect the Switch to at least win those months whenever it gets a price drop, even if there's an Xbox Two or PS5. But that's because of the power of the pricing, the markets, and all of that. So that's why I'm still surprised, and also because I believe that even when the PS5 releases, the PS4 is still going to continue selling. PS5 is going to be building. It's going to take some time until it builds a pretty good a catalog of games, even though I believe that the PS5 is going to be backwards compatible with the PS4, so you can still play the PS4 games on the PS5. If they don't do that, that's going to be a mistake, but I believe they will do it. And from now on, you're going to see the Sony, PlayStation systems being backwards compatible as long as they're Blu-ray based. But with the Switch, I believe, and this is something that we talked about, that 2019 they're probably gonna win not the entire like all the months, but they're probably gonna win 2019 when it comes to the MPD sales for the total year. But once the PS5 and Xbox Two release, that's when it's gonna get tricky because a lot of the more than likely the early adopters of the PS4 systems, those are the ones that are gonna start migrating over to the PS5, and then little by little everybody else is going to start moving over as well, even though I believe the new Xbox is going to do better than the Xbox One did versus the PS4. But yes, either way, like I said, I'm surprised and glad that the Switch won 2018. It went down to the very end. They were essentially, PS4 was winning throughout the entire year until the last month or so, thanks to people finally picking up the system for the holidays, but also, like you said, the power of Smash, because it's been a complete juggernaut. Like you said that it was a true Nintendo system seller, and then it somehow went to sell even better than you anticipated it would be selling. So yes, and that's a testament to Nintendo because they've kind of like tapped into the right formula for the game. It's not slow like Brawl or Switch. It's actually faster. It has a complete roster of characters with even new characters coming in, stages, music, everything. You said that World of Light. I'm not sure if you felt like it was either a drag or something, but they have the spirits, they have the World of Light, they have the battles. So yeah, so they have so much stuff that it kind of feels like an RPG game. But yeah, it's either way. It was just, I guess, and we cannot deny that Pokemon Let's Go also did play a role in it because it came out in November. Not as much as Smash, of course, but it still played something. And we also had the Pokemon Switch bundle. We had the Smash Switch bundle, the Diablo 3 Switch bundle, Fortnite bundle. As yeah, like I said, the Mario Kart 8 deluxe for Black Friday. So there were it was a collection of things, but ultimately it was Smash that made the big difference, so they could win at the end.
Okay. With that, I think we're done with hot topics. It's gonna be interesting next year. See what happens with the PlayStation and Xbox console. Everybody knows it's the last year of those two consoles that you're getting new games, new systems in 2020. Uh, the only thing I do want to say, the only thing to end is the only console that Nintendo really owned the US with, of course, aside from NES and Super NES, let me put it when they had this competition of the big three that we have now, was the Wii. Because the casuals bought that system, but you saw it on the software sales. It was not a good console for selling software. Now, they still won. I'm not taking that away. I'm just saying that if Nintendo really wants someday to really own the US, like they did in the NES and the Super NES, they need to give a powerful console with the right strategy and have all third-party support. Until they get all third-party support, they will never overtake Sony in console market. They won't, Caleones. And that is something that Nintendo needs to figure out, because a lot of people like myself always treat the Switch like their secondary console because they don't have all. I'm not playing Resident Evil 2 on that console. I just bought Resident Evil 2. It's coming this way. Why should it not be on the Switch? At the same time, even if it was on the Switch, why would I buy Resident Evil 2 on the Switch when I'm going to play it in 4K resolution, or fake 4K if you call it, but that's fine. It's still higher resolution and higher frame rate than on the Switch version. You see what I'm saying, Caleones? So at some point, if Nintendo really wants to take the ownership, this is what I'm saying. If Nintendo really wants to take the ownership back of owning the console market in the world, they need to bring a powerful console at some point that can compete with the Xbox and PlayStation, so they can get all the third-party support in-house. And this is the right time to do it, Carlos. That's my point. This is the right time to do it because they're building better bridges. All the bridges that they damaged during the NES and the Super NES era, they're building it again. So that is the time to bring a console to prove and see if we get the rock stars of the world in there. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. We shall see. Anyway, with that said, Caleones, unless you wanted to add something to that last thought. Sorry about that.
No, just saying that I really don't want Nintendo to go away from the Switch format. I think the hybrid home console handheld is perfect. The only thing is that by it being a handheld, it does sacrifice how powerful the console can be, because they're limited on how much RAM they can put into it, how much internal memory is going to have, what type of CPU is it going to carry, because of battery life, because of how much power it's going to draw, and because you have limited battery life on the system. Right now, the Switch has a 3-hour battery life. So can you imagine if it was running at the very least 1080p 60 for most of the games directly from the handheld? Like the battery would be.
I'm not asking for that kind of on a handheld.
Yeah.
No, I'm just asking when I dock it at home, I want all the full power that I can possibly want.
Yeah, that's what I was going around. So now it comes to what Nintendo initially showed with the patents from the game. They showed that the supplemental box that they had to increase power. So yes, you can take the game on the go, but like you said, if you want to sit down at home and have that cinematic experience with a game, with like right now Resident Evil 2 remake, if you want to experience it on the Switch at 4K graphics, 60 frames, whatever, then you have the dock with the additional supplemental power, so you can put the system there, and then you have the added like power to be able to do it. So that's something that they should be able to do. They do it with PC settings all the times, where you have the high settings and then you have the low settings. So yeah,
Okay,
you're gonna sacrifice. Yeah,
I'm okay even if they do have some games that are not portable. That you're saying we just can't put them portable. You have to dock it to run it. I'm okay with that too. And I think people would understand that some games you have to have the full power to tap on it, that you won't take it on the go. That is fine. But because you still have a Switch, that you have most of the game come to the Switch. But I understand Nintendo. They're saying, no, we don't want to dilute our market. We want one message. I get it too. I'm just saying, for me, I would be okay if they have some games that are not portable, that you can only run them on the dock or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, with that, I 50 minutes. So that was a big hot topic. So let's start getting cracking into those Onumas news burst. Caleones, let's take it away quickly.
Okay, actually, it depends on when you want to start when it comes to the news burst. But I'm just gonna go ahead and run through a couple of them that we kind of glossed over already. But like one of those was the best-selling games of 2018 in the
Yeah, I
U.S.
forgot about those. You're fine.
With
Keep
the
going.
IMPD.
We'll do it quick.
So number one was Red Dead Redemption 2. Number two, Call of Duty Black Ops 4. Three, NBA 2K19. Four, Madden NFL
Keep it
19.
just top 10.
Yeah, five, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Six, Marvel Spider-Man. Seven, Far Cry 5. Eight, God of War 2018. Nine, Monster Hunter World. And 10, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And yeah, I just want to say that as far as the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, it was number five, but it doesn't track digital sales, so it could have been higher
And it
on
only
there. But
came out in
still,
December.
yes, it came out in December. So aside from that, Nintendo was the highest selling console in the entire 2018 in the U.S., France, and Japan. Japan, of course, is not surprising. Then we have Shuntaro Furukawa. He says that Nintendo's goal to sell 20 million Switch units on fiscal year 2018 is an extremely ambitious but worthwhile achievement. So they're still sticking to it. It's not going to end. I mean, we're not going to know until probably April when they release the fiscal year numbers for
Still
April.
saying
Um,
18, but we shall see.
yeah. So there's a lot of people saying that they're going to be short of 20 million. That it's going to be 18 million or something like that. But we're not really going to know until April. So Nintendo still has a little less than 3 months to
Just
try to
throw that
get
Luigi
there.
Mansion first quarter, Nintendo. No, I'm joking.
Yes, I mean that'll be a pretty good way to get people on there. We got the new Super Mario Brothers Deluxe Wii U Deluxe Edition. So I know that it's not the same as when it released on the Wii U, but it still should sell pretty good. So we'll see how that can improve. And we know Yoshi's Stories is it going to be April, I believe. So that's going to be outside of that. So it's not really going to help with the sales. So going over to the next piece of news, and this is talking about the Detective Pikachu movie, which is going to be launching this May. That the rumor is that they are working on a sequel for the movie, and that it is in the works. Dante. So are they? I mean, is it okay for them to start now? Should they wait until seeing performance, or do you believe the movie is going to do good enough to where a sequel is going to be warranted?
Short and sweet. The movie's gonna do good to warrant a sequel. Second, sometimes you got pre-readings from crowds and the how you call it viewing for people, and they're seeing the positive response, so they already greenlit a sequel. Three, the development cycle went so well that the sequel was already greenlit. Now, to clarify, as a story for the youngsters out there, Batman and Robin, a sequel was greenlit because of how well development went with Michael Schumacher. And then the performers came through, and that movie was really bad that it got canceled. So I'm not saying that that's going to happen, them greenlighting a movie. But I'm just saying, based on the trailer, this is based on like me. Like, I was like, I don't care about this movie. And I saw the trailer, and I was like, damn, this looks good. So my point to that is that they're seeing something, maybe, that they're already thinking all sequels.
Yeah, the other thing I'll say is that Pokemon is actually the biggest media franchise in the entire world, bigger than Star Wars, bigger than Marvel movies, bigger than everything. So for them to be putting this much support behind it kind of makes sense because it is Pokemon, and you feel like, I mean, just by carrying the name Pokemon, it should have at least some sort of success to where it's going to do well. If not, it's probably going to do 200 million in China alone. So who knows? But I believe that what we've seen from the trailer has been good. It's been great feedback from what people have seen, and that's probably one of the things that they were waiting for, to finally show how the movie looks. And because it was overall a great reception and they received great feedback because of it, that's probably what finally said, you know what, let's go ahead and go with the next one. So the next piece of news is coming from a store in the Czech Republic. That they leaked Assassin's Creed 3 and Liberation remasters coming over to the Nintendo Switch. Is going to be the Liberation Collection. This is not like official that they, it's been announced or anything. It's just that they posted it. I do want to say also that this is the same place that they posted The Witcher 3 for the Nintendo Switch, that is going to be coming out. So who knows if those are going to be true, but so far we'll see what happens. Dantes, how do you feel about these games? Like Assassin's Creed 3, Liberation Collection coming out, and also The Witcher 3. So do you think it's a given or what?
The Witcher 3 is not coming to the Switch. That's one. And then two, Assassin's Creed, whatever. Who cares? I'm not a fan of Assassin's Creed, really. But again, this is what I'm being adding of having third party support. So if they can get it, good for Nintendo.
Okay, the next piece of news about it's about Mortal Kombat 11. The game is going to be coming out on April 23rd, and they've actually stated that development on the Switch is by Shiver Entertainment. Ed Boon also stated that in a separate interview that you'll be surprised how great the game looks. But talking about the specific quotes, yeah, they said that Soul is sort of a co-development. Trump was asked about the Switch Edition being a downgrade, to which he replied that special geometry reductions were being implemented to ensure a smooth experience for Nintendo's Mortal Kombat fan base. So I guess aside from how the game is going to look, the biggest worry is the game going to be 60 frames per second? So I mean, of course, for a fighting game, you want it to be, it has to be 60 frames. If it's an turn-based RPG or something like that, yeah, you can make sacrifices. Even Breath of the Wild is 30 frames per second, but for a fighting game like this one, it needs to be 60. But so far, what they said about the Nintendo Switch version is that it looks good, it plays good. People will be surprised. So should people be worried about it, Dantes?
No, it'll be fine. I got much to
Okay.
say. Aside from it, nah, it'll be fine. So.
Okay, so going over to the next piece of news, and this is for all of you that picked up Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, is that the Piranha Plant is going to be scheduled for a 2019 release in February. So it's going to be February 2019. They haven't specifically said, but as a big disclaimer, if you guys picked up the physical version of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, or if you're planning on picking up Super Smash Bros. Ultimate either in physical format or digital, make sure that you do it before the end of the 31st of January, because after January 31st you will no longer be able to get Piranha Plant for free. You will have to pay for it separately. So if you get it digitally, you don't have to do anything. You'll purchase it digitally. You already have it. If you buy it physically, you need to just go over to the settings and go and do what you do to kind of like redeem the gold points on the game. Make sure you do that so that you can get the code for Piranha Plant.
I'm looking for it. So we shall see. Uh, how the character plays. So right now, kind of what I was saying to Caleones is I'm kind of simmering back my Smash fanhood and let it play later based on the characters are coming. So we'll see how Piranha does. Now I'm kind of looking forward to how Piranha does, even though at first it's a quirky character, it's a Piranha Plant. See how he plays. Now I do hate fighting people who knows how to play Mr. Game and Watch, Isabel, or me Wii Fit Trainer. You guys suck. But anyway, aside from that, we'll see how Piranha Plant delivers.
Okay, going with the next piece of news is that RBI Baseball's 2019 is coming to multiple platforms, including the Nintendo Switch in March. This is kind of like a more like an arcade type baseball game. It's not like MLB The Show, which is an exclusive to the PlayStation. But the game itself, I believe, usually retails for like either 19.99 or 29.99, and the game will release in March 2019. No specific date, but it should be there by the time the MLB season starts. Going from this, and this is the last piece of news that we have for today. It is that Handcrafter to the Adventure, Game My Memory of Us, is available now on the Nintendo Switch. And actually, there's actually one more piece of news, Dantes, that we actually haven't discussed, and is that this past week we had the Nindies type presentation from the Nintendo of Europe, which they announced a couple of Indie games or indie games that are going to be releasing. A couple of them are already out. They did announce others like the World Quest, which is kind of like a card-based RPG game, similar to like Batten Kaitos, which you never played on the GameCube. But they also have a couple of games that they showed on there. And Wargroove, I believe, is releasing on February 1st. So it finally got a release date. And Wargroove is also going to be cross-play compatible between the Switch, PC, and the Xbox One. So if you haven't seen it yet, go to the Nintendo Europe's YouTube page, watch the video, and you're gonna see plenty of indie games, a lot of good in there, so you can look forward to it. So Dantes, we're done.
Thank you, Caleones. Let's quickly move. We're in the hour mark, so let's quickly move to Shigeru's supermarket. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Boom. I don't even have energy to put the ringtone. Go ahead, Caleones.
Okay, so hey, how you
Sup,
doing,
Dig?
Dig? Welcome, welcome. And actually, we're um, almost finishing on here. But as far as the other games that have released since the I'll say the 21st, we're gonna go with Hugo, Color, Send Kids, The Raven Remastered, Future Grind, At Sundown, Shots in the Dark, When Ski Lifts Go Wrong, Unruly Heroes, Gold Simulator, The Goldie, Smugglecraft, Smite, Pikuniku, Perry Pig Jump, My Memory of Us, Monkey Wall, Le Grand Legacy, Tale of the Fate Bounds, Jack Quest, The Tale of the Sword, Forgotten Tales, Day of the Dead, Fishing, Universe Simulator, Doodle God Evolution, Curse Castilla, Balance Box, Bad Dream Coma, as Divine Hearts 2, Arcade Archives Bump Jack, Akihabara Crash 123 Stage Plus 1, Ashton Cthulhu Tactics, Killer Zombies, Zombie Panic in Wonderland DX, Swords and Soldiers, Heroes Trials, Flowlines Versus, and Inups are the games for the week, Dantes. And my son's all-time favorite game, which is Ghost Simulator. That's the one that he wants to pick up on the system, but well, we'll wait. I want to wait on this one, but eh, I mean, you can't go wrong with plenty of indie games and good games like that.
Sure. And that is it. Uh, let's start ending the show. Let's start quickly coming through it and put some music. And to say that I want to thank everybody who came through and watched us today at the Get In and Get Out Nintendo Podcast Episode 78 right here at the Force In Unison Gaming channel. Please remember to subscribe, like, comment, and hit that bell. It's critical that you guys hit that bell because YouTube sucks. It's hard to find us when we are putting up some new content. Also, you can get this podcast on SoundCloud and iTunes for free. Rate us over there so you can show us some love. Sorry. Also, yeah, I know. Also, description box below so you can see the full channel schedule. Tomorrow, I am hoping to finish the God of War walkthrough. Come PlayStation Monday, this Monday. God of War walkthrough, baby. Let's hit it. Also, Facebook page at Force In Unison Gaming. And finally, in that test says finally, go to forceinunison.wordpress.com and get some clicks and love to my boy Caleones. With all that said, Caleones, let's end the show. Thank you again, and long live Nintendo. See you guys.